And misery, with all the pain and all the rats and the roaches and the mud in the streets and all the drugs and the rape going around. I have my electricity cut off. My gas don't burn no more. And even the water has stopped flowing. And my poor family is cold and hungry. Oh, Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? He's kind of long, his feet are hard and gritty. He spent his life walking the streets of New York City. He's almost dead from breathing air pollution. He tried to vote, but to him there's no solution. Living just enough, Lord, just enough for City. I hope you hear inside my voice of sorrow, and that it motivates you to make a better tomorrow. This place is cruel, no one could be much colder. If we don't change, the world will soon be over. Living just enough, I'm living just enough for the city. Just enough for the city. I'm just living. I can't help myself. I hope somebody understands what I'm talking about. Lord, I'm just living for the city. I just don't want to return no more. I'm living for the city. I'm living just enough for the city. Yeah. I'm living. Oh, no. Y'all sing this part, sing it. Look it. You got nappy hair too, In my lonely moment, once for Christmas, one must be my toy.
dreams. Someday there'd be a line that we would set aside to show just how much we love you. So together we agreed what could fit more perfectly than to have a world party on the day you came to me. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Vicky. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Whatever, that someday will be a holiday where love is celebrated all throughout the world. The time is overdue for people like me and you who know the way, the truth is love and unity to all of God's children. It would be a great event, and the whole day would be spent in full remembrance of those who lived and died for the oneness of all people. So let us all begin. You know the love can win. Let it all hold it in. Say loud as you can. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Play it, man.
This Saturday, AIDS Delaware, in partnership with Lions Club International, presents 2020 World AIDS Day, a live streaming global event. 1 p.m. December 5th. Join us for an informative and interactive call to action, including expert panel discussions with a live Q&A, entertainment, information to share to others, call to actions, and shout-outs from Lions all over the world. Here to tell you more about World AIDS Day and its importance is Lions Club International's past international director, Phil Nathan.
Hello, I am Phil Nathan, a past international director of Lions Clubs International, which is the largest voluntary service organisation in the world. I come from and I live in the UK. World AIDS Day takes place on the 1st of December each year. It's an opportunity for people worldwide to unite in the fight against HIV, to show support for people living with HIV, and to commemorate those who have died from an AIDS-related illness. Founded in 1988, World AIDS Day was the first ever global health day. Over 103,800 people are living with HIV in the UK. Globally, there are an estimated 38 million people who have the virus. Despite the virus only being identified in 1984, more than 35 million people have died of HIV or AIDS, making it one of the most destructive pandemics in history. Today, scientific advances have been made in HIV treatment. There are laws to protect people living with HIV, and we understand so much more about the condition. Despite this, each year in the UK, over 4,450 people are diagnosed with HIV. People do not know the facts about how to protect themselves and others, and stigma and discrimination remains a reality for many people living with the condition. World AIDS Day is important because it reminds the public and government that HIV has not gone away. There are still vital needs to raise money, increase awareness, fight prejudice, and improve education. World AIDS Day is an opportunity to show solidarity with the millions of people living with HIV worldwide. Thank you for listening.
Don't forget to tune in this Saturday, December 5th, for the World. Ladies and gentlemen from around the world, to welcome us to the 2020 World AIDS Day live streaming global event, please welcome the Lieutenant Governor of the wonderful state of Delaware from the United States of America, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor Bethany Hall Long. Thrilled to join AIDS Delaware, Frank Hawkins, and his incredible panel today as we celebrate World AIDS Day, Global Solidarity and Shared Responsibility, December 5th. Let's step up, educate ourselves, let's be responsible and be screened. We have a lot of hope. Thank you again for supporting AIDS Delaware, and let's make the difference.
And now for a message from the Mayor of Wilmington, Delaware, Mike Przicki.
As we continue to struggle with the COVID-19 pandemic in the closing days of a difficult year, it is fitting that we pause to reflect on another devastating global virus, HIV and AIDS. For more than 30 years, December 1st has been observed as World AIDS Day, the first ever global health day to raise awareness about the problems associated with HIV/AIDS, unite in the fight against the disease, commemorate the many lives lost, and to show our support for those still living with this chronic condition. Much progress has been made since 1981, and while HIV is not to be taken lightly, a positive diagnosis is no longer the automatic death sentence it once was. Still, there is much left to do to eradicate this virus once and for all. So please join me as we redouble our efforts under the theme for this year's observance, Ending the HIV/AIDS Epidemic, Resilience and Impact, and continue to work towards a world without AIDS. Thank you.
Please take a moment to give thanks to all of the sponsors who made this event possible.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2020 virtual World AIDS Day event. We are truly excited about today's event because it is a day where we have the entire world's attention. On behalf of AIDS Delaware, I want to welcome you. My name is Frank Hawkins. I am the Director of Advocacy and Community Engagement for AIDS Delaware. I've been with the organization now for the past 21 years, really overseeing a lot of the community work that happens. And so it is a pleasure to welcome everyone to today's event, because today's event is so significant because we're going to be talking about an issue that continues to have an impact in our society. You know, what makes this event so important is the fact that, you know, HIV and AIDS first hit the scene in 1981 in the United States. And from that point till now, we have made tremendous progress when it comes to HIV. However, we still have much more work to do. And we have to continue to get the message out about HIV. And what World AIDS Day does for us, it allows us to disseminate information globally today as it relates to the issue so that people can take positive, proactive steps to preventing themselves from becoming infected with HIV. So, we have a lot planned for today. Right? We have an awesome panel, right? We have 3 individuals that I have come to learn and know over the years who are doing phenomenal work as it relates to this issue of HIV, right? Not only do they talk about it, right, but they're also living with it and have really done tremendous work, not just nationally, but on a global level as well. And so we are really, really honored that these 3 individuals have decided to be part of our tremendous informational panel. But not only that, right? But since this is a global event and we've partnered with some amazing organizations that have a global presence. We're going to have individuals that come onto this Zoom that are going to give their input as well from around the world. That's amazing, right? So that's why I'm so excited. I might get a little hype, but by no means do I want you to think that my excitement, right, is going to diminish from this event. I'm just excited because I really appreciate, right, the work that we're doing to continue to have an impact in society. And that's really what it's about, ladies and gentlemen. It's about information that helps to make an impact into our society. So, with that said, just want to tell you just a little bit about our panelists because they're going to introduce themselves much better than I can. So our first panelist that I want to acknowledge is Tez Anderson. Tez is a long-term survivor living with HIV, right? And has been living over 20-something years. And that's all I'm going to say about Tez. Our next one is Hadia Broadbent, right? A lot of us first seen Hadia back in the late 90s, probably about 96. We saw her on shows like Maury Povich, Oprah Winfrey, etc. as a little kid, like 5 years old, still living. Think about that, right? And then our last person is Marvelyn Brown. Now, this young lady, not only was she on America's Top Model, right? But she has done some amazing work around the globe in helping to give information about HIV. It's awesome. 3 awesome people. So you are truly in for a treat today. So with that said, right, I'm going to stop there, right, and get right into introducing our panelists because, as I said, they will introduce themselves much better than I can. So you ready? Say ready. Let's get it.
I'm Tez Anderson. I'm the founder of Let's Kick Ass, AIDS Survivor Syndrome. It's a group by, for, and about HIV long-term survivors. I have been living with HIV since 1983, and I never expected to be sitting here in front of you at 61. So Let's Kick Ass was started in the spirit of elevating the voices for long-term survivors, for those of us who lived through the worst years of the pandemic, who spent years watching our friends and our community die around us. Almost all of us expected to die young. We never expected to be aging. And those come with a lot of psychosocial ramifications, which no one was discussing before Let's Kick Ass. I coined AIDS Survivor Syndrome to describe what it was like to survive HIV, to live through those times when death was all around us. We were preparing to die, and then only to have it surprise us with the fact that we're going to be old people with HIV. I'm also the founder of HIV Long-Term Survivor Awareness Day. That's on June 5th. And June 5th is the anniversary of the first announcement by the CDC of what would become known as HIV in 1981. It didn't have a name then. It was just a mysterious illness killing young gay men in Los Angeles and New York. So we have come a very long way in that time, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hadia Broadbent. I'm an international HIV/AIDS activist and motivational speaker.
People like Hadia Broadbent, who has been living with HIV since her diagnosis in 1987. She unforgettably grabbed our heartstrings when she appeared on a Nickelodeon special with Magic Johnson in 1992.
I want people to know that we're just normal people.
You don't have to cry.
Before she was even 10 years old, Hadiya had already become a member of the first generation of HIV activists and toured the country's most celebrated talk show couches, speaking about HIV/AIDS awareness and shattering myths, something nobody thought she would still be doing 25 years later.
I was born HIV positive, a part of the first generation of children born positive, and I will turn 37 this June.
Hello, my name is Marvelyn Brown, and I'm an Emmy Award-winning AIDS activist and best-selling author to The Naked Truth, Young, Beautiful, and HIV Positive. The HIV is in parentheses because you can leave it there or you can take it out. I'm currently 36 years old and I live in New York City, but I hail from Nashville, Tennessee. I was diagnosed with HIV at the young, tender age of 19 from a former boyfriend who I loved and who I trusted, and I currently been living with HIV for 17 years. I delivered public speeches and made public appearances and impacted millions of people around the world.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from our three amazing panelists. Weren't they great? I'm telling you, so now you're in for an amazing treat. At this point, we're going to dive right into our discussion, and a lot of this, or some of this rather, is somewhat pre-recorded, like a hybrid type of an event. We put a lot of effort into it, but you will have an opportunity at the end to ask questions live, right? Of the panelists, we'll all come on and we'll have an engaging, realistic, true discussion so that you get to see them up front in person and ask them any questions. And then by all means, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say this, right? This is a serious event, right? But at the end, right, because it is a serious event, we want to celebrate. And the way that we're gonna do that is we're gonna have a party for all of us around the globe to celebrate the day, right? So by all means, hang out with us, enjoy the DJ, enjoy the music, etc. No matter where you are, it's going to be a fun event for you to be a part of. So with that said, let's get right into it. Our panelists are ready to ask questions. And our first panelist that's going to be addressing a question is Tez. And the question that we have for you, Tez, is let's talk about the difference between HIV and AIDS. And the reason that I wanted to start with that baseline, Tez, is because people really need to know. We want to give out some factual information so that people leave here not guessing or not assuming or not, leave here with the correct information. So if you will, in your own way, just tell us, what is the difference between HIV and AIDS?
The difference between HIV and AIDS is HIV is the name of the virus and AIDS is the name of the disease state. Let me explain that. HIV stands for the human immunodeficiency virus. And immunodeficiency refers to the weakening of the immune system. So basically, you get the virus, it takes some time before the body turns it into AIDS. But AIDS is defined by less than 200 T cells or by an opportunistic illness, which is an infection or some kind of illness that you get that occurs because your immune system is so low. The good news is these days there are medications that early treatment means you don't have to progress to AIDS and can, with the new medications, can live a normal, healthy life. That wasn't always the case. When I tested positive back in the 86, I seroconverted in 83 and didn't know it. But when I tested, there were no medications. So I lived for about a decade with untreated HIV, which allowed it to progress to AIDS in 94. So it's a whole new ballgame now. We've come a long way in treatments. And the takeaway news is get tested, know your status, keep on the prevention track. But if you do seroconvert, become HIV positive, start taking medications right away and stay on them.
So thanks, Tez, for answering that. Hopefully, if you have any questions about what the difference between HIV and AIDS is, by all means, again, put it in the chat. And better yet, write down your questions. right? Because then we can answer them, maybe after this, during this, whatever the case may be, because we'll give you contact information. But the next thing that we want to discuss is how HIV can be transmitted and how it's not transmitted, right? Because there's a lot of myths about how it is transmitted, like sweat, tears, saliva. And so to answer that, Hadia Broadbent, Hadia is going to give you factual information on ways that HIV can be transmitted and ways that it's not. Hadia, take it away.
Okay. Ways that HIV can be transmitted are through vaginal or anal unprotected sex, mother to child, or also IV drug users sharing needles or other equipment. Ways that HIV cannot be transmitted are through mosquito bites and also drinking saliva. You would have to drink gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons and gallons of saliva to even be exposed.
Hey, Hadia, that was amazing. Thank you for that great, information that you gave to our audience. Now, the next thing that we want to know is we know that HIV can be transmitted sexually and non-sexually, right? So what are the ways that people become infected sexually, and what are the ways that people become infected without having sex? And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to direct this question to Marvelyn, because Marvelyn is really, really great when it comes to prevention. So Marvelyn, can you just tell our audience what is, some ways that people become infected sexually and without having sex? Thank you.
HIV is passed through 4 body fluids: blood, semen, vaginal secretion, and breast milk. HIV is transmitted through anal, vaginal, and oral sex and through sharing needles. That includes IV drug needles, tattoo needles, and also body piercings.
So now I want to just talk about something that, is really kind of new to the HIV community and the HIV world. It really comes with a lot of, there's a lot of backlash with it. But the CDC recently released information on something called undetectable equals untransmittable, right? Which means that a person who is HIV positive with an undetectable viral load cannot transmit HIV to someone else. So I want to get the perspective of all of you, the panelists, on this. And what are your thoughts of that, right? And to lead the discussion, right? So Taz, why don't you start off with letting us know, let the audience know just a little bit more about U equals U is what it's called. And just tell them, your thoughts about it. And then we'll get some feedback from some of the other panelists as well. Marvelyn and Hadia can give feedback as well on just what their thoughts or their personal experiences with U equals U.
So let's talk about U equals U. Perhaps you've seen these buttons or the posters all over the internet. U equals U stands for undetectable equals untransmittable. And in effect, it means that a person that has an undetectable viral load cannot pass HIV on to anyone else. It's 100% effective. It's impossible to transmit HIV to someone else with an undetectable viral load. What's an undetectable viral load? That is a test that you take. We've become sort of familiar with viral loads now because of COVID. You hear that a lot on television. But it's a test that they take for the viral load cannot detect any virus in your bloodstream. It's the level of virus in your bloodstream. It means you're undetectable. And it means that you're also unable to transmit HIV to anyone else. It's a game changer because for a lot of years, many of us lived with the fear that we would transmit HIV to someone we loved or were having sex with. And it was a very heavy burden for many of us. So a number of years ago, this partner study proved that with an undetectable viral load, it's impossible to pass HIV on to anyone else. And that's a very big deal. The old thing about us being toxic is no longer true.
U equals U is really a game changer type of technology or discovery. The fact that I can be on treatment and prevent my significant other or my child becoming infected with HIV means a great deal to me. And also, if, say, for instance, my significant other doesn't have insurance, making sure that I'm in treatment and care and undetectable means we're all safe.
Let's do it. Let's talk about U equals U. I was diagnosed with HIV over 17 years ago. The entire time, I've maintained an undetectable viral load. I've done this by taking my medication as prescribed, exercising when I can, and keeping a positive attitude when I can control it. U equals U means to me living a normal life, having a healthy sex life, and not worry about passing the virus on to other individuals.
Stay tuned for more from our 2020 World AIDS Day virtual panel. Plus, hear from Lions from around the world during our global shout-out. But first, a word from one of our partnering sponsors. All right, now for a little interaction. Let's have a roll call. If you are watching this right now, type into the chat where you are watching it from. Are you in Delaware? Are you somewhere else around the world? Let us know in the chat right now. Frank, back to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have people watching all across the globe. And so what we're going to be doing throughout the day is global shout-outs from people all across the globe. Stay tuned for the global shout-outs.
World AIDS Day. We stand in global solidarity and shared responsibility with people from all over the world that are passionate about HIV/AIDS awareness.
Today and every day, we unite to show support for people living with and those affected by HIV. On this day, we
also remember those who have lost their lives to AIDS.
Please join us in standing together to spread awareness and support for those living with HIV. Through standing together,
we hope to drive further acceptance and equality.
Hallo zusammen, mein Name ist Alina Ritter und ich bin International Liaison Officer im Multidistrikt 111 in Deutschland. Am Welt-AIDS-Tag stehen wir zusammen in globaler Solidarität und geteilter Verantwortung mit Menschen aus der ganzen Welt, die sich leidenschaftlich für HIV/AIDS-Bewusstsein einsetzen. Heute und jeden Tag schließen wir uns zusammen, um Menschen zu unterstützen, die mit HIV/AIDS leben und von HIV betroffen sind. An diesem Tag erinnern wir uns auch an diejenigen, die ihr Leben durch AIDS verloren haben. Bitte schließen Sie sich uns an, um das Bewusstsein und die Unterstützung für Menschen mit HIV zu verbreiten. Durch unser Zusammenstehen hoffen wir, weitere Akzeptanz und Gleichheit zu fördern. Join us. Rock the red ribbon.
Dear friends, this is Jahidul Islam from Bangladesh. I am Charter President, Leo Club of Kumbh University, Leo District Council 315 A1 Bangladesh. Let's aware from HIV and AIDS, transmitted by unsafe sex, pregnancy, drug addict, blood transfusion, and not transmits touching, through food, kissing, insect bites.
Драги пријатели, здраво! Јас сум Андреа Стојковски, поранешен гувернер на Дистриктот 132 во Северна Македонија. На Светскиот ден за борба против ХИВ, сидата, стојам цврсто во глобална солидарност и споделена одговорност со луѓе од целиот свет кои се посветени на мисијата за подигнување на свеста за ХИВ, сидата. Денес и секој друг ден се обединуваме за да покажеме поддршка за луѓето кои што живеат со ХИВ или пак се погодени од вирусот. Но овој ден си споменуваме и за сите оние кои ги загубија своите животи од сидата. Ве молиме, придружете ни се за заедно да шириме свест и да им окажуваме поддршка на оние кои што живеат со вирусот. На овој начин, преку нашата солидарност, се надеваме дека ќе поттикнеме понатамошно прифаќање и еднаквост во светот. Да носиме црвена панталка, да укажеме солидарност и поддршка.
Welcome back to the panel. Here's your host, Frank Hawkins.
So thank you. We just addressed you equals you. But now, just to give a little twist to this. So if a person is living with HIV, they may not be undetectable. Therefore, I want to know from you guys, what can a person do who is living with HIV? What can they do to prevent from transmitting the virus to someone else? And I just want to hear your thoughts on that, on that topic, because I know we just addressed you equals you, right? Saying that undetectable equals transmittable. But now what are your thoughts on what a person who is not undetectable can do to pass the virus on to other people? So in your own way, just tell me your thoughts.
The ways that you can prevent someone from contracting HIV if you are HIV positive is treatment as prevention, making sure you're in treatment and in care under a doctor's orders. Also, use a condom whenever taking part in sexual activities.
So now let's switch gears just a little bit, right? I want to switch gears just a little bit. And I want to talk about PrEP, right? PrEP stands for pre-exposure prophylaxis, all right? I want to talk about PrEP, right? You know, tell me what it is so that people know what PrEP is, right? You know, who should take PrEP? When should they take PrEP? Right? Because there's been a lot of information given out about PrEP. So Tez, I want you to give us some factual information about PrEP so that our audience knows what PrEP is, who should take it, and all that information. And then everybody, you know, Hadia and Marvelyn, by all means, you guys can also chime in on the discussion.
What if I told you that if you're HIV negative, there's a pill you can take once a day that prevents you from acquiring HIV. That's called PrEP, or pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's a prescription medication called Truvada that your doctor can prescribe for you. You take it daily and it completely prevents you from getting HIV. It's between you equals you, PrEP, and condoms. We have a lot of tools in our toolbox now to prevent people from acquiring HIV. The whole point of this is that we're talking about an ending the epidemic campaign by the administrations, by the government, and these are all three tools that we have that can actually prevent the spread of HIV. And eventually, if we find, you know, a cure, we'll live in a world free of AIDS. And really, that's the goal, because as a person who's lived with HIV for a long, long time, it's a very different world now. It's not a death sentence like it once was. But the point of it is, why would you get HIV when there's a pill you can take that would prevent you from getting it? It's called PrEP. Ask your doctor.
The good thing about PrEP is when I was unable to reach an undetectable viral load, we knew that my boyfriend can take PrEP a once a pill day and stay safe. And it gave us a little less anxiety, and we didn't have to worry so much because we knew that he was safe.
So thank you so much for that. I think that discussion that we just had about PrEP was really, really great. But again, by all means, if you have more questions, put it in the chat and we'll get to it. We'll talk to the audience live at the end and get more perspectives on all of this information. But I want to move into something that is near and dear to me because it's something that I've done, over my career at AIDS Delaware, and that's HIV testing. Testing is very important. You'll notice on my shirt that it says, know your status. And the reason that we encourage testing is so that people know. And it's better to know than not know, right, about testing. So I wanted to talk about that, and I wanted to get Marvel in to really give us some information on HIV testing because it really is important that people know their status. And that is one of the goals of today. Not only do we want to give out this information, but we want you to take action. And what is the actionable steps that we want you to take? Is one, if you have not been tested, then by all means get tested. But I don't want to steal Marvelin's thunder, right? So Marvelin, come on, you tell them about HIV testing and the significance of it, all right?
HIV testing is so important. The sooner you know about your HIV status, the sooner you can treat it, therefore controlling it. I'm a huge advocate for HIV testing because I never voluntarily went in and get an HIV test. It took me to be sick and on my deathbed and doctors tested me unknowingly for me to find out my HIV status. I'm very grateful to that to this day, but I encourage others to make that step first.
Still to come, Frank asks the three panelists to share what their calls to action are, a chance for you to get involved. But first, let's have a couple more surprises from our global shoutouts.
No Dia Mundial da SIDA, estamos global e solidariamente unidos para partilhar a responsabilidade com pessoas de todo o mundo que são hoje afetadas pelo vírus do VIH.
وأريد أن أدعم يوم التوعية لمرض إيدز وإحياء ذكر الذين قد ماتوا بهذا المرض.
Η Διεθνής Οργάνωση Λεσχών Λάιος, ως ο μεγαλύτερος οργανισμός παροχής υπηρεσιών παγκοσμίως, έχει ενώσει τις δυνάμεις του με άλλες τοπικές και παγκόσμιες οργανώσεις ως απάντηση στον ιό HIV, με στόχο την επίτευξη της καθολικής πρόσβασης στην πρόληψη και θεραπεία του ιού, καθώς επίσης και στη σεξουαλική διαπαιδαγώγηση και ενημερωτικές πρωτοβουλίες. Ελάτε μαζί μας σε αυτόν τον αγώνα ευαισθητοποίησης και υποστήριξης προς τα εκατομμύρια των συνανθρώπων μας που ζουν καθημερινά με τον ιό HIV.
I want to support its Awareness Day and commemorate those who have died of this disease. Out of the 34 million HIV positive people worldwide, 69% live in sub-Saharan Africa. There are roughly 23.8 million infected persons in all of Africa. 91% of the world's HIV positive children live in Africa.
Por favor, únete a nosotros para extender nuestra ayuda a aquellos que están viviendo el VIH. Estando juntos, ayudamos a impulsar más aceptación e igualdad. Rock the Red Rainbow. Únete a nosotros.
Welcome back to the panel. Here's your host, Frank Hawkins.
Ladies and gentlemen, so I really just want to applaud the Lions Club International. Why? Because I worked with them on another project called Delaware Teen Idol, and it was truly an amazing event. And if you know anything about me, gratitude is one of the key things that I always keep in my heart whenever people offer services to help with projects that we do at AIDS Delaware. So I'm truly grateful to the Lions Club International for being a part of this event, because not only is it them, but there's other organizations that help make this viewership international, right? So I want to plug the Lions Club International, and when I found out what they do, how they help in the community, not just here, right, but everywhere, globally, having an impact in over 200 countries. That's amazing, right? So with that being said, if you know me, like if it's a good thing, I'm always down for it. And that's why I decided to be a part of the Lions Club International. So I am humbled and honored to be a part of an international organization that's helping to make change in our world.
Well, Frank, since you said you'd like to become a Lion, can we do that right now?
Yes.
All right. Since you have expressed desire to affiliate with the Lions Club International, I now ask you to respond to the words with a simple I do or I will. Do you hereby accept membership in the Bellefonte Lions Club, knowing that you are encouraged to participate in functions of the club?
I do.
To the best of your ability, will you abide by the Lions Code of Ethics, attend meetings whenever possible, contribute to your share of programs to your club, district, and the Lions Club International?
I will.
Congratulations! You are now officially a member of the Bellefonte Lions Club. Hey, Lion! There's that. And check this out. You actually even get a pin, and because of COVID, I'm going to give you my pin.
Oh, man.
There you go, brother.
Oh, this is awesome. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
It's official. Today is not only about us giving out some great information. It's not just about us having a phenomenal panel, right? It's about us taking action. So what is it that you can do to support AIDS Delaware, to support other organizations, to support today, World AIDS Day? How can we support our panelists? Well, we're going to open it up to them, right? And they're going to tell you some things, that the actionable things that can be done to help support the HIV movement, the HIV community, so that now we know not only is it just myself and them and others, but now we have thousands of people that are taking action in this movement. So panelists, come on in and just tell our viewing audience what it is. What do you need from them? What do you need from our audience to make this, to put an end to this epidemic called HIV?
How can you support the HIV movement? It's simple. Education. The more you're educated, the more people can prevent the virus. There's less stigma, there's less discrimination surrounding the virus. And you're in the know. Okay? Education. I call you out. Learn more about HIV and AIDS. It's always evolving and always changing. Do your part.
So calls to action. I have two calls of action for you. The first one is around ending AIDS ageism. As a 61-year-old person, I know how difficult it is to reach an age where you become invisible to the world. And if you look at my generation that lived, the first generation who lived through AIDS, you could look at us as people who have acquired a great deal of experience and knowledge and wisdom, and not someone to be ignored. We really the biggest thing we're fighting right now around HIV and aging, because one of the statistics you need to know is that over half of all people living with HIV in the US are over the age of 50. So HIV is not just a disease of the young anymore. It's primarily affecting older people, older adults with HIV. That statistic usually surprises people. But what's also surprising and hard is the fact that how often people are discounted and overlooked simply because of their age. So that's my first call to action. And my second is not on the topic. This is off topic, but it has to do with keeping yourself alive. And that's COVID. We've had a 2020 has been a hell of a year, and it's not over yet. But vaccines are around the corner, and by June, maybe July, we should be living in a brand new world. So please, wear your mask, social distance, and protect yourself from getting COVID, because I hear a lot about COVID fatigue. Buck up, it's not going to be much longer. If I lived through the 80s where all my friends died from AIDS, you can live through COVID for another year, 6 months, and we can get through the other side of it. Thank you.
The call to action is simple. This World AIDS Day, share a post on your social media, whether it's your Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat, or TikTok. Post something that shows you're supporting awareness for this cause. Also, you can donate to your local AIDS organizations in your local community.
So people always ask me, Frank, how can I help? I think now you know, because our panelists just gave you some items that you can do to help. So what we're going to do now is take questions from you, right? We want to know what questions you have about HIV. We want to know about what questions do you have about continuing this effort. And if you want to join us, by all means, put that in the chat. Put your email and somebody will get back to you on how you can help. But before we do that, we're going to get a global shout out from somewhere across the globe. Stay tuned.
Actually, Frank, we have a little surprise for you. And now, for a surprise token of appreciation from the cause, sent out to the man who put this all together, Frank Hawkins. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome star of the Barbershop films and one of the original kings of comedy, Cedric the Entertainer.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Sid the Entertainer. Just want to shout out my man, Frank Hawkins, man. Big up, Frank, for doing your thing right there in the world of AIDS in Delaware, just making sure that everyone is aware. You're doing hard work around there in the whole field of HIV and AIDS prevention, man. So congratulations. You made World AIDS Day happen, joined the Lions Club. That's been big for you. And just by educating people and let them know their status, it is making a world of difference and making the world a lot safer. So keep that up, man. Keep working hard. Keep being a light. Keep pushing forward. All right? Salute to you. All right?
From one of the original kings of comedy to one of the original kings of service. Frank, here's some more thanks from International Lions Club past International Director, Steve Glass.
Good afternoon, Frank. I'm Steve Glass, a past International Director of Lions Clubs International. I served on our international board from 2012 to 2014 and have been a very involved Lion in the past 40 years. I want to thank you personally for stepping out in faith and bringing AIDS Delaware to the partnership table with Lions Clubs International. We understand at the international level how valuable partnerships are. As a matter of fact, it's one of our strategic goals going forward to create partnerships. So again, let me give you my very best well wishes. You will bring a lot to the table with Lions Clubs International. You will enhance our visibility and our service with your presence in a Lions Club. So with that, thank you so very much for stepping out in faith, becoming a Lion, and bringing to the table a very valuable partnership that will last long into the future. Thank you so much, Frank.
Nella giornata mondiale contro l'AIDS ci uniamo attraverso la solidarietà globale e la responsabilità condivisa con persone provenienti da tutto il mondo che sono in prima linea nella lotta contro l'AIDS. Oggi e ogni giorno ci uniamo altresì per mostrare sostegno alle persone che convivono e sono affette da HIV. In questo giorno ricordiamo anche coloro che hanno perso la vita a causa dell'AIDS. Unitevi a noi per restare uniti, per diffondere consapevolezza e sostegno a coloro che convivono con questo male. Stando insieme, speriamo di promuovere un'ulteriore accettazione e uguaglianza. Rock the Red Ribbon. Condividi il tuo sostegno.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break this up just a little bit and have some fun. One of the things that we do every year is an event called Delaware Teen Idol. This year we had the opportunity to do it virtually. We had a lot of amazing talent, but one talent that we want to showcase today is our 4th place winner, Cadence Michaels. And the reason that we want to showcase her is because her act was related to HIV. So let's listen to her message.
Slipping through the cracks to poverty, 'cause my parents weren't ready. They didn't think I'd happen, didn't think I'd happen, didn't think. For the first anniversary, my father gave my mother HIV. Now she'll never be free of the curse, and she passed it down to me. People don't realize they can give it to their children. Now from having a perfect family, I will be forbidden. They caused this. They were my catalyst. I'm a little older now and I'm in public school. We're learning in health class that safe sex is cool. Some other kids are laughing, but now I know the solutions to it all. A condom will save my partner from my HIV. A shield for him and all the children we will want till we're ready. Now I know about antiretroviral therapy, a treatment that can save my kids from my HIV. I will teach them all I've learned to raise their own perfect families, and they'll take it and run with it and live even more happily. Education fixed this. Education was my catalyst. I'm even older now and I found someone who respects my concerns. Thanks to that decision, we're comfortably living because we adapted and learned. I've done my part and changed it for the better. Now my children will do the same. I'm proud to call myself the catalyst for this change. Sometimes flowers can bloom in the dark like I did, but raising them in sunshine is much more effective. So I will choose to give all my love and light. I ask you to do the same. Be a catalyst. Be a catalyst. Be the catalyst. Be a catalyst. Be a catalyst. Thank you for listening. I hope you choose to be the catalyst in your change.
And now is your chance to be the catalyst by joining our live panel discussion. Frank, let's take it live.
All right. I know you can hear me. I'm trying to get my camera on. So if somebody can turn my video on, that would be excellent. The host says,
Mine too.
there it is. Okay. Hey, everybody. So hopefully you can see me. You can see me put a 1 in the chat. Hope everybody enjoyed the event thus far. Okay, I see the 1s coming through. That means I'm here. I'm live coming from my living room in Wilmington, Delaware, and just want to welcome everyone who is tuning in from all across the globe, right? This is amazing. You know, I'm sitting here almost in tears, you know, getting shout outs from Cedric the Entertainer and all that kind of stuff. But just, you know, it's not about me, ladies and gentlemen. I work for a wonderful organization, as you can see, AIDS Delaware. And our goal as an organization is to really get the word out about HIV. So I really owe everything, you know, to AIDS Delaware for allowing me this opportunity, you know, to put events on like this over the years. But also, you know, this event, when we first started, we started out as a partnership. And I'm not sure if he's on, but if he is, you know, I really want to shout out my good friend, Duffy Samuels from Duffy's Hope. And the reason that I want to shout Duffy out is because we've been doing this event for well over 10 to 15 years. And he has just been an amazing partner in the event, very supportive, always, you know, incorporating the young people. So just want to shout him out, and definitely want to thank, you know, again, my gratitude goes out to all of the folks that have tuned in from across the globe. So if you enjoyed the event thus far, you can, you know, virtually clap, you know, put a 1 in the chat, you know, dance, bug out, whatever you want to do. Look at Hadia sitting there smiling. What are you smiling for, Hadia? Right? You know, because like, listen, education is power, right? And I think Cadence said it really, really eloquently in her song, You Can Be the Catalyst, right? The catalyst for change. And there's a variety of ways that people do it, but find your niche, right? So, you know, thank you everybody for the 1s. So I don't want to take up a whole lot. I do want to say one last shout out. I got to shout out our executive director from AIDS Delaware, who's on, Mr. John Gardner. Okay, we snap into that. All right. John, thanks for being on, and anyone else on from AIDS Delaware. John Gardner is the man, folks, right? And a really great executive director to work with, right? So let's go to some questions. There was one question. So I can see, let me go to gallery view first. So I see Marvelyn drinking and I see Tez. All right, so good. Okay, good to see you. How's everybody? You guys did awesome. You did awesome, right? Thank you so much. And having known you all, Tez and I sit on the MMP, which is the Medical Monitoring Project for the CDC, and Marvelyn and Hadia have, you know, they like my adopted daughters, so to say. And anytime, you know, that I really, you know, call on them to do things, you know, they willingly, they have to check their schedules first, but because it's in high demand, but, you know, always willing to support. So there was a question earlier and about condom usage. Let's go back and address that a little bit more in depth as to the effectiveness of condoms, and because that number requires something to happen, right? So, I mean, any of you can answer this question, but what does it take for a condom to truly be effective? And any
proper usage.
Yes.
Put it on correctly. Put it on. Knowing how to put a condom on correctly. Back in the old days, back before most of y'all were born, we used to use a banana to show people how to put a condom on. Because it's important that people don't, I think people see a condom and they think, oh, it's easy, but you have to know how to properly leave a little bit of room at the top and put it on correctly. I mean, the chances of condoms breaking are pretty minimal, but they are, yeah, exactly.
They break. I just think people shouldn't be afraid to use lubricant with condoms. That's what lubricant is for.
Yeah.
And it's okay to use it.
And so can you explain that just a little bit more, Marvelyn? What's the significance of the lubricant?
Because that also helps the condom from breaking.
Okay.
Because it adds moisture. It should actually be a little bit more pleasurable if you get the one that pops.
Yeah.
You know, just up to you.
Okay. All
It's a lot more pleasurable. More lube, please.
I wasn't gonna say all that. Y'all need to know about me,
I
but
want to add something on there because some women can be irritated from the condom usage. So lubricant really helps up the irritation because condoms are not really that healthy for us all the way. But the right kind of condom, which you get in a lubricant, can help.
Okay, thank you.
And most of them are made of latex. Some people are allergic to latex.
Good point.
I'm the one that fits your body.
So if somebody is allergic to latex, what other options are there, Tez?
Oh God, it's been so long since I've used a condom that I don't know the latest technology. Lambskin they used to use. I don't know. I mean,
so
they're different kind of condoms.
Yeah, all these condom brands have different kinds. They have kind that has a ripple on them for more pleasurable. You got the female condom, which has the ring, can be more pleasurable for some women. There's all types of condoms. So you have to.
Polyester. It's different type of condoms that can be used if you are allergic to latex.
So the main one I believe that is encouraged by CDC is polyurethane.
Yes.
Right? The
there you go.
Polyurethane condom is the other recommended type in case someone is allergic to latex, because keep in mind, barrier protection is the key, right? And also, if women are allergic to latex, then there's the female condom that's also made out of polyurethane as well, right? And so the goal is for people to protect themselves. So I think you all would agree that HIV, as we know it, ideally is 100% preventable.
Yes,
absolutely.
And so we live in a time where people ideally don't have to become infected with HIV, but sometimes it's based on the choices that people do.
I think it's based on the stigma. I mean, I think that the more people who are sexually active and who know about PrEP and getting on the 1 pill a day treatment to prevent HIV, the better off we are, because you don't think it can happen to you, but if you're sexually active, it can. It's not just gay men, it's not just people of color, it's everybody. Anybody who's sexually active is at risk for having HIV, catching HIV. Yeah. So, I think it's incumbent upon the person, myself being the person that needs the protection, to protect themselves. So PrEP is a really key tool for a lot of people. I mean, I think it's marketed to young people, and old people need PrEP, young people need PrEP. It's actually active. I was in an Uber ride and giving a talk back when we traveled, and the guy said, "You mean there's a pill I can take to prevent getting HIV?" And I was like, "Yes." He stopped the car, pulled it over, and wrote it down on a Post-it note because he didn't have any idea. And I think that people knowing that is a really groundbreaking. If they don't know it, it's a big deal.
So that brings me to moves into that PrEP sort of discussion, Tez. With PrEP, according to CDC, and for our viewing audience, I will pretty much always reference CDC so that you now have, if you want to verify any of the information, you have a website to go to confirm it, right, and look it up. But one of the things that, we were in a meeting recently and with our HIV Planning Council group here in Delaware, and they were doing a discussion on PrEP, and it was mentioned that PrEP is really underutilized in the United States. and in a lot of different states. And I guess just want the panel's perspective of why do you think that is, that like a medication that could help an individual who is HIV negative, right? So let's make sure that people understand PrEP is a medication that is designed for individuals who are HIV negative, which means that these individuals do not have HIV. So why would you think that it is not overly utilized or widely well known in various states and places?
I think one of the main mistakes we made when PrEP was first available is it was targeted for gay white men. And so when we targeted for gay white men, we're missing a population of individuals who are also predominantly affected by HIV, which is the African American community. The problem with the African American community is we don't think that HIV is a problem anymore. We don't really talk about it. We don't have the conversations. And also young people don't even really know what HIV is anymore. We have a young, generation of young people who really don't even understand how detrimental or tragic this disease can really be. They haven't been educated. They're not teaching about it in the schools. So it's lack of education and also how the marketing went.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to chime in on that or give their thought? No?
I think that it could also be that this medication does cost. There are programs and resources that can help individuals out, but the medication is not free, and unfortunately, it does cost.
So you think is that a barrier, you would say, Marvelyn?
Absolutely, because HIV drugs are very expensive, but you can't put a value on a person's life as well. And it is still very, I believe in PrEP, I support it, but it is costly.
Well, there are, Truvada, people who make Truvada is, somebody help me out, which pharmaceutical?
It's company? From Gilead.
Anyway, Gilead has a copay, card where they get it to you for free or for very low cost. Most AIDS service organizations now have programs which provide it for you for free or low cost.
Yeah, but that's not readily available to the masses. Because that's what I was answering from Frank's question. Why isn't it? Why? Because, costs in these disproportionate areas, mainly African American areas, or, these cities where all the AIDS funding and different stuff like that is mainly for gay white men.
Well, I think if you have insurance that pays for antidepressants, which a lot of people do.
A lot of these people don't have insurance.
Yeah.
I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I explained that. I moved to New York City 16 years ago. 1, because I had a job offer. 2, because it was a blue state. And 3, because they had programs that helped HIV positive African American women. And that's one of the main reasons that I had stayed. Had I stayed in Nashville, Tennessee, the cost of HIV medication and my livelihood and my life would be tremendously different.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here, what I want to do is transition now to the question and answer box here, because there's some really great questions coming up and I don't want to neglect anyone's question. The first one is that my coworker, Laura, who is very resourceful, she gave us a website. And if you want to write this down, it's or somebody want to put this in the chat, lovehoney.com has a large selection of non-latex condoms and lubricants. So that's lovehoney.com. Love Honey. You get on that site, Laura. But anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, please put that in the chat too.
See you later. All right, y'all. Let's talk about some of these questions here. Edward Angelini Cook, gentleman I know, one of our board members, put a question down that says, and I won't mention any more names because people may not want to know disclosed, but those two people I kind of felt comfortable with. But can you talk about the role of sexual communication and self-disclosure with potential sexual partners? I'll say it again. Can you talk about the role of sexual communication and self-disclosure with potential sexual partners? And so Hadi, I'll come to you first.
Thank you.
Sexual, first of all, you have to have a conversation. Conversations about sex are never easy. It's, for whatever reason, it's easier to do the act than to really have the conversation. So you have to be comfortable with the person you're having sex with. So you have to have that conversation. If you can't have that conversation, maybe you should ask, is that the person you really should be having an intimate relationship with?
Okay, so I'm just going to ask a Frank question. This is Frank. So okay. Are you ladies and gentlemen in relationships?
No, I'm single.
I mean, I'm single, but mingling and still have a wonderful, healthy sex life.
Wow, Marvelyn, you said that with a lot.
I'm an old married man. I've been married for 12 or 13 years.
Okay.
I live my life, Frank. I live my life.
Okay. Cool.
But I do want to, make it be known. I have noticed when I tell people that I'm HIV positive, it's the manner that I tell them, and is it with confidence, or because I feel like these people feed off of you. So if I come and, it's like a downer situation, they're going to feed off that. But if I come in there like, I'm HIV positive, what you want to do, they tend to off your energy with that. I'm pretty much a blunt person, so I have no problem telling them. Now I do have to deal, with denial and rejection in that as well, but I'm also prepared for that, and I know that. And it's really their loss.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
I completely agree with. It's actually, I agree with Marvella. It's about how you, Marvelyn, how you say. It's about how you approach it yourself, how comfortable you feel with yourself and with your status. And I think I'm like her. I've always been open about my HIV status. I was in People magazine in the 1990s, an openly HIV positive person. So I've been out about my status, and I've always never felt any shame around it. So I think that translates into how I convey the information to other people.
Right.
And I think, the other part of that for me is to say, yeah, I'm HIV positive and I'm undetectable. And then I explain to them what undetectable means, which means that it's like having sex with a person who's not positive. I can't pass HIV on to you because I'm undetectable. I'm on medication that keeps my viral load, the amount of virus in my bloodstream, from being detected on a test. I've been undetectable for 15 years, I think. So that
I
it's
have
important.
A link that I copy and paste and I send it to them.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right?
That has all the information. And then I have a tattoo on my back that says, if I get drunk and we end up in the bedroom, I'm HIV positive.
I want to see that tattoo.
I use when I have a conversation is I let people know I can have a baby without passing HIV on. I can get married without passing HIV on to my significant other. And I'm kind of on the same medicine as Magic Johnson. So people they're like, oh, you're good. You're okay. So let's go do that. So
here's the one thing that I want, and I thank all of you for your comments. So everyone working at AIDS Delaware for quite some time, I've met people that still will not and do not disclose their status.
Yes.
I've met individuals whose family still stigmatize them as a result of living with HIV or having the virus. And so I just believe it's different strokes for different folks, right? And I think the main point is that, people have to get to a level of comfortability within their own skin. I think that probably would be like a resonating message, because if not comfortable, then they probably won't disclose it, et cetera. But I really appreciate everybody's input on that. So I really just want to move to another question. There was a question that said, are the meds covered by insurance? Yes, some of them are. And then it says, if not covered, how expensive are they? They are very expensive, right? I think Marvelyn said that medications are very expensive. But because I do know about Delaware, I'll kind of just comment. There's what's called the ADAP, which stands for AIDS Drug Assistance Program. And individuals who live with HIV or who have AIDS, are eligible for ADAP, and can help get a reduction, a small copay on their medication. So yeah, but it is very expensive for someone who doesn't. And if you don't have insurance, most states have insurance plan that help you to get it. So
every state has an ADAP.
We have to give a shout out to the Affordable Care Act also, because before there was a time where I couldn't get ADAP because I made too much money. So sometimes the programs require you to live on the poverty level to get help. And so the Affordable Care Act, we have to say shout out to that, because anyone with a pre-existing condition can now get regular insurance.
Thank you. All right, so the next one says, it says, I remember in the 1980s, people were afraid of swimming pools because of AIDS. Although that might not be as common a fear anymore, what misconceptions about HIV and AIDS are still common these days? Are there any misconceptions like back from the 80s that still exist, do you guys think? Tez?
Oh, look, I don't know. I mean, some people think the earth is flat. I mean, we're living in a different age. The 80s is such a long time ago. We've come such a long way. I'm sure that stigma still exists out there.
Okay.
The sheer ignorance of people in America never addressed, never surprises me. But I think a person who is remotely informed, I think knows. I think Hadia is right about the fact that HIV isn't discussed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in public dialogue anymore, especially now with COVID. But even before that, people stopped talking about HIV a long time ago. We all talk about it because we're in the business, but the general population, they very rarely hear about it. Now they can see commercials. I have noticed TV commercials for drugs for HIV, which is kind of newish.
Right.
But I don't think the general population is on their mind very much, because it's now chronic and manageable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a deadly disease anymore. So for that reason, it's less important that people know about it. So they don't talk about it, which is kind of tragic, since 1.2 million people live with HIV in the US.
Right. And so
there's still a lot of myths, out there. People still think Magic Johnson is cured. Because I'm so open about my HIV status, and family and friends and, different people at different times find out about my HIV status. It's still fear of, even being close. It's definitely been times I've told people over the phone that I'm positive, and they hang up, is that they can get it from the phone.
Right. And as a health educator, going into various populations, going into community centers, schools, what have you, I can just tell you that some of the questions that I get, if you ask people like, what are some of the fluids that transmit HIV, you'll still get saliva as one of the fluids. And that's, and listen, and that's why you guys said it best, is that the action steps is from this event is that we really want people to get educated, right? So with the World Wide Web, right, or with the creation of the internet, people have access to the information, and that's why we will, we encourage you, find, just Google HIV education, and you'll find all of the resources that are available so that you can get as much information as possible. But So, so I guess that answers this question. Do you still encounter people who regard AIDS as a gay disease? I don't really think you see it as much because, you know, I mean, I don't know if people really see it because it affects all different communities now. People will relate it to the gay community early on, but I think people really understand now that today, right, of the 1.2 million people infected in the United States, half of the 1.2 million are in the African American community. So the disease has had a disproportionate impact in the Black community, and we definitely want to make sure that we address that. But another one says, so how can couples safely have families? And I guess this is in reference to couples who are, you know, the one partner is negative, one partner is positive. How can they have safely have families? Anybody want to discuss that? And if not, I can.
So you have treatment as prevention, which we already mentioned, which an HIV person who is positive is in treatment and caring on medicine. Then you have, so what you want to do is reach an undetectable viral load. So treatment as prevention means undetectable means untransmittable, but also you can, if you aren't undetectable, you can also do treatment as prevention to prevent your significant other or baby from contracting HIV. And also, we also said PrEP.
Right, and so having worked with the so AI DuPont Children's Hospital here in Wilmington and Delaware and around the United States, the mechanism or the processes that have been put in place for women who are pregnant are really, really magnificent. And I know that in Delaware, a woman is tested 3 times for HIV in her first trimester, her second trimester, and her final trimester. But if a woman is HIV positive, as Hadia did mention, a woman who is HIV positive can have children. Now, there are certain factors that really come into play, right? So one, it is highly recommended by a health professional that the woman have a undetectable viral load, right? And that as a result of having an undetectable viral load, that reduces the risk of transmission from mother to child. But in some cases as well, and I say some cases, is that it may be encouraged that the woman have a cesarean section to reduce the amount of exposure to all of the mucus that the child will go through in the birthing canal, right? And we all have a good, you know, we have a good friend who's another colleague that I know of who has 2 children. She's HIV positive, her husband's HIV negative, and her 2 children are HIV negative, and they have a really happy family. So I guess to answer that question, you know, there are really some factors that come into play. All right, the next questions. Are people with HIV more vulnerable to COVID-19, even if they have an undetectable viral load? Very good question. I'll say it again. Are people with HIV more vulnerable to COVID-19, even if they have an undetectable viral load?
I would say yes. Just because your immune system, undetectable doesn't mean your immune system is strong enough to fight out COVID-19. So you have to be as cautious as you can be. Like, my doctor has me inside. I really don't go out that much. And so I try to keep my contact limited about how many people are around me.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to lend thoughts?
I know that the CDC has said that people with HIV on treatment are no more at risk than people who are not. HIV positive. So there's still so much we don't know about COVID, but I mean, I err on the side of caution, like my dad does. I mean, I don't see many people. My husband and the pharmacist is about it. And so I do that out of my own sense of caution. I don't want to take the chance, but they tell us, statistically speaking, that even the issue is the comorbidities, especially for older adults. And comorbidities means you have multiple diseases on top of HIV, like high blood pressure, heart disease, osteoarthritis, all the things that happen when you're older, for one, but two, with HIV, it's multiple diseases. It's just another name for multiple diseases. We're at greater risk of mortality from COVID-19. So that makes us at a higher risk for death. I'm not sure that's true quite as much as it was in the early days of COVID, because we've learned so much now about the treatment of COVID that the death rates have dropped somewhat, but the infection rates are still extraordinarily high. And wear your mask, people, please, please, please. I don't care where you are. If you're around other people, put on your mask, keep your distance, wash your hands. I mean, if we did that, we could stop a COVID in its tracks right now without a vaccine.
Right. And
Yeah, I actually had COVID in July, and luckily I had a very mild case of it. And my doctor, also explained to me that because my body 24/7 is still working to fight HIV, even with this medicine, because I still have it, as there's no cure for it. Now I had COVID-19, and now my body and my immune system is working overtime. It took me a little longer to get over COVID. It definitely wasn't 14 days. It was more like 30. That I had to self-isolate and quarantine, and I still was on different type of medications to help with it. But yeah, I don't think HIV helps the situation at all.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Marvelyn. I didn't know that. So I'm glad that you were transparent and authentic in providing that information, And I guess just to add my little piece to that, like HIV, COVID-19 does not discriminate on who it will affect, right? So I guess that's the nutshell. Okay, I think we got two more questions and that's it. How do we defeat homophobia and trauma today? And then it says, I know there's no simple answer, but how do we defeat homophobia and trauma today? I guess
you can answer. If you can figure that out, you got the Nobel Prize.
Education.
Education. We say education, but we've been educating now for 40 damn years, and people still don't understand it. I think talk about stigma around the idea of, what's the word I'm looking for? I've already lost my train of thought. So sorry. Somebody else jump in. But honestly, it's really.
You also need compassion. You need understanding. You need to look at it as, like, how would I want my brother or my sister or someone to be treated? It's about how you would want to be treated. It's about decency and respect. And once you get to that, having respect for all human lives, there shouldn't really be a problem.
Right. Okay. So then it says, another question. Blood donors are screened when donating, but how good is this if they are not tested? So I will take that because I did a little study, so to say, on it. So when a person is donating blood there, so I know the Red Cross here in Delaware asks extensive questions. You have to fill out a long risk assessment that, have you had a tattoo? Have you did this? Have you did that? have you had a body piercing? If you've done anything that remotely is associated with HIV transmission, then what they will do is tell you to come back in a year, and also recommend that during that time that you can get tested, come back, etc. But blood is carefully screened now. So in 1985, different blood banks, Red Cross, and etc., they started screening blood much more carefully. So no longer, can you just come give blood and it's going to be used that same day or things of that nature, because the screening process is much more extensive than it was, years ago. And then I do want to address this question as well, because I want everybody. Y'all move in the chat. Someone, it says something about organs. Where's this question at? And I don't know this. That's a good question. Can someone who is HIV positive donate organs to another person with HIV?
Yeah.
Someone who's HIV positive can actually donate organs in general. We had Nina Martinez, who was our first HIV organ donate. Help me with the words, Tez. You know the story.
I know that organ donation between people with HIV is possible, has been done. I don't know her name, but I know that there's a couple of times where.
So that may be something that we have to research. So,
but I don't know if they take it down. I don't know about the organs from people who are HIV positive to people who are negative. I don't know about that, even with undetectable. I don't have enough of the information to know that for sure.
Okay. I do want to, by all means, if somebody in the control room, if you can just put my my email address in the chat, I'll say it. It's Hawkins, HAWKINS @ AIDS, AIDS, DELAWARE.org. And any questions that you have after this point that I can help answer, by all means, please email me. But there's a question, or what strategies are in place to address the issue of HIV and injecting drug users, which has increased HIV? I know in Delaware and pretty much on a national level, there are many states have needle exchange programs. And so that's where someone who is an IV drug user has the ability to take their needles and go to a van and exchange them. Typically it's 1-for-1, but some states don't do the one. They do it the way that they do it. But I know in Delaware, ours is designed more like a 1-to-1 needle exchange. And then not only on the van can they exchange needles, but they can also get HIV testing as well. And they can also, if they're looking for substance use treatment, the outreach workers on the van are trained and connected to a variety of services through the van. So whether it be mental health services, whether it be HIV, whether it be substance use, whatever the case may be, on the van, they have all of the resources available, and a phone call can be made so that people can get the services that they need at that point of contact, right? So that they don't have to be kept waiting. So it's now, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2:31. Unfortunately we have to stop here, but I do want to thank everyone. I want to thank Marvelyn. I want to thank Hadia. I want to thank Tez. I want to thank the Lions Club. I want to thank AIDS Healthcare Foundation. I want to thank Christiana Care. I want to thank my boy Duffy of Duffy's Hope. I want to thank the Delaware Family Coalition. I left out something. Delaware Community Coalition. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They know who I'm talking about. I want to thank everybody, right? I want to thank Scott. I want to thank Daniel, right? The folks that put this together. A lot of people think it's just me. No, ladies and gentlemen, it is not just me, right? It starts with AIDS Delaware and works its way down. And so I want to thank everybody for their support, of this informational day. This is not our first, this is like something that we've done annually, but this day is a very special day because it is the first time that we've ever done it on a international level like such. So I really want to thank everybody for the questions, for the support of the event. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go to I want you to check out this message. All right. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our 2020 Global World AIDS Day event. We want to thank you so much, right? Really, for tuning in to today's event. I know that you got a lot of information. I know you did, right? Because our panelists were amazing with what they gave you today. But now, here's the thing, right? You got the information. Now what? We got to use it. They gave you action steps, right? Take the action that's necessary to be a part of this cause, right? This World AIDS Day event was designed specifically to create movement, right? You know how you get to gym, right? And you get the traction on that treadmill? It's about movement, right? And that's what we wanted to do today. We wanted you to move, right? So by all means, wherever you are, do something, right, that is going to create momentum, right, after this. So I look forward to hearing from somebody that says, Mr. Hawkins, you know what? As a result of that World AIDS Day event that you did in 2020, we now have a coalition in China. We now have a coalition in Egypt. That's what I want to hear. That's what we're talking about, right? Because that's what this event is designed to do. And again, if you didn't tune in, or you know that somebody, if you know somebody that needs to hear the information, this event is broadcast on YouTube. Send it to them. Say, here, listen to this because you need this, right? It's about each one teaching more, right? And that's what this event is designed to do. So I want to thank you again for tuning in. Again, I want to thank all of the people that supported this and, for putting all the hard work, in to make this event a success. But, again, it's going to be on YouTube. You can watch it over and over again. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. So we got the serious stuff out of the way, right? That we got all, because HIV is a serious subject. We'll agree on that, right? But now it's time for us to let our hair down, so to say. So we're going to party. We got a DJ. It's an after party popping off, right? And you want to be there, right? So stay tuned. The DJ's about to get this thing started. Wherever you are, put your dancing shoes on, and let's get ready to get it. All right? Take care. I'll see you later. It's a celebration, ladies and gentlemen. You ready to party? We're gonna party like it's 1999. I might be aging myself, but that's all right. Celebrate good times. Come on, let's go.
One, two, you now tuned in to DJ Be Real on the 1 and 2. Turn my video on. Turn my video on. You now tuned in to DJ Be Real on the 1 and 2.
You now rocking with DJ Be Real on the 1 and 2. Killing them out here, you know what I'm saying?
Let me know where you from so I can get you that international shout out. Let's go. This is an international event, right? Let's go. Let me see you get on that tag in. Shout yourself out. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Check me out, I promise you, internationally, I will represent. Let's do it. Nigga, right here, for real. I see you on the track here. Shout out to my NYC crew. Rockville, Brooklyn. Total represent.
You now rocking with DJ Be Real on the 1 and 2. Killing them out here, you know what I'm saying?
Let's get it. This is international, right? Oh, we got it. We got it in today. We're gonna go in today. Depending on where you from.